It's time to finally ban men from women's sports. My God, do they want somebody killed? Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, a lot to talk about today. Jam-packed show for you. A lot of issues I'm going to get to, but I've got, out of the gate, I've got to say this, and I'd love to get your take, every single one of you. As you know, I normally don't do sports. I leave that to the sports talk show hosts, except when it affects culture, society, when it has larger ramifications. And the Olympics now are engulfed in a second major controversy. The first one was the offensive, to say the least, frankly blasphemous and highly immoral opening ceremony in which they made a satanic parody of the Last Supper. Well, if that wasn't enough, listen now to this. This now has the entire world in a rage, including here in the United States. In fact, it's the number one trending story, and I can see why. Because really, enough is enough. In the Olympics, there is obviously women's boxing. It has now evolved. It's become a serious sport. A lot of women like to box, and frankly, some of the women are extremely good at it. Well, now, men apparently, there's nothing they can't do, including beating other women in women's boxing. And so, yesterday, the spectacle of a man, and he is a man. He is a man in every way, shape, and form. He has the plumbing of a man, the biology of a man. He has the XY chromosomes of a man. He is loaded with the testosterone of a man. To me, a gutless coward, a real scumbag. Iman Khalif, representing Algeria. Now, you have to understand this. This is a man who tried to box as a woman last year at the World Boxing Championship, and he was denied. And he was denied because they did a DNA test, and they said, no, you have failed our eligibility requirements to be considered a female boxer. You have XY chromosomes. You're loaded with testosterone. You're obviously a man. You look like a man. You have the body parts of a man. You have the chromosomes of a man. You have the hormones of a man. You're a man. And so they banned him. But not at the Olympics. No. At the Olympics, they have different eligibility requirements, much lower eligibility requirements. To them, if a passport says you're a woman, literally, if a passport says you're a woman, you're a woman. So this fraud, this grifter, this nasty SOB, and that's what he is, a real SOB. Well, he gets some kind of passport. It says female on it. Go into the ring. Now, I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. There was a fight in the Olympics in boxing, highly competitive. We're talking about serious athletes, between a man and a woman. We are now allowing men to beat up women as a form of entertainment. His opponent was Angela Carini of Italy. By the way, a very good female boxer. And to understand her story, she was very close with her late father. In fact, he helped her train. So much so that he helped her become one of the best fighters, amateur fighters, female fighters in the world. And she said she dedicated this Olympics to him. He passed away. This was her Olympic dream. It was her dream. And as she told the media afterwards, my father taught me the most important lesson in life. I'm almost quoting her verbatim. How do you walk that last kilometer? How do you train that last kilometer? And he said, I want you to look at those who are cyclists, like at the Tour de France or these professional events, where they're so exhausted and they have 1 kilometer left. And what do? They pedal even harder. They give it their all. You finish the race. That's how you lead your boxing career. That's how I want you, my daughter, to lead your life. And so to honor her father, not only did she make the Olympics, she was actually a serious competitor to potentially get a medal, both for her, her country, and obviously to her late dad. This poor woman didn't even last a minute. She didn't even last a minute. The fight was over in 46 seconds. This animal, Iman Khalif, who's a man from Algeria, posing to be a woman, you can clearly, the arms on this guy, the muscles on this guy, the strength on this guy. This poor Angela Carini never had a chance. She never had a chance. And he shattered her Olympic dreams. He beat her like a dog around the ring. Punch after punch after punch. Angela Carini said in her entire career, she never felt such force, such strength in a punch. She said it hurt so much I couldn't take it. By the 3rd or 4th punch, it looked like he smashed and broke her nose. In fact, she said her nose was hurting so much, she thought she was going to die. And then when she felt one more blow, a really serious headshot, maybe even a concussion, she went to her corner and said, this is unjust. This is not fair. This is not fair. And her corner realizing this poor woman now, if this continues for another minute, could probably suffer lifelong permanent injury. Permanent injury. Blindness, brain damage, maybe even death. Threw in the towel and said enough. Enough. What happened next has now people in tears. Because this animal, Iman Khalif, and that's what he is, had his hands raised up in victory. In fact, he even boasted to Allah that Allah blessed his hands. Allah is driving him towards a gold medal. Yeah, of course, you're fighting women, you little gutless coward, you. Angela Carini fell on her knees and began to weep uncontrollably. She was inconsolable. Everybody in the arena couldn't believe what they had just seen. People in Italy couldn't believe what they had just seen. People across Europe, here in the United States, Elon Musk, President Trump, Riley Gaines, everybody now is saying, I stand with Angela Carini. This is the woke Olympics. This is what happens. This is what happens when you allow men, biological men, to compete against women in competitive sports. A woman, her dreams shattered, her nose broken, a massive concussion, and she's lucky to be alive. And her entire amateur career stolen from her because these woke left-wing idiots, these fanatics, these radical LGBTQ liberals insist with their transgenderism that a biological man who is much physically stronger than a woman, that's just a fact of biology, should be allowed to go into women's sports and be able to beat them and beat them and beat them. I want you to listen now. She was crying. She was inconsolable. She then gave an interview to the media. She said, I'm sorry, Dad. I gave it everything I had. But at a certain point, I said, I don't want to die. Listen to her. It's in Italian, but it just gives you a taste of the unhappiness that this woman had. It gives you a taste of what it's done to her personally and, frankly, to a lot of women all over the world. Listen now to Angela Carini. Roll cut 22. It's in Italian. Mike.
Lui è mio padre. Io ho fatto l'ultimo chilometro perché un giorno mi sentii stanca.
Okay, that's after the fight. It was even worse when she went with the media. This is her on her knees, crying, saying, I'm sorry, my father, my late father. I did the best I could. I gave it everything I had. You told me to run that last kilometer. I ran it as well as I could. Is it time to ban biological men from women's sports? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, many of you are going to be saying, well, Jeff, I sympathize with this poor woman, Angela Carini, and other women in sports, obviously having to compete against men. But what does this have to do? We're in the midst of a very serious and profound presidential election. Kamala Harris supports men in competitive sports, in female competitive sports. What you saw yesterday in the Olympics is exactly what Kamala Harris supports. So you tell, and by the way, Donald Trump opposes. In fact, he so opposes, he made it a key platform of the Republican Party at the Republican National Convention. That should he become president, he will ban effectively across this country and as much as he can around the world at international sporting events like the Olympics, biological men competing in female sports. So that woman, and I want to play it again, it is so heartbreaking. That poor female boxer who has been training for years, most of her life, who dedicated these Olympics to her late father who helped train her, couldn't even last 46 seconds. He smashed her nose. He hit her so hard in the head, most likely gave her a concussion. She said if I lasted another minute, he probably would have killed me or permanently maimed me. And then to see her on her knees after the fight, she refused, by the way, to shake the male's hand, the Algerian fighter's hand, Iman Khalif, good for her. And she was just saying in Italian, this is so unjust. This is so unjust. And she said to her father, she apologized. She gave it everything she had, but this is so unjust. Play it again, Mike, please. Cut 22.
Lui è mio padre. Io ho fatto l'ultimo chilometro perché un giorno mi sentii stanca.
I mean, this is heartbreaking. This is literally, it's in the ring still, and you can hear the announcers in the background. And that clown is pumping his fists in the air like, like he's a champion. After this poor woman is on her knees. He's been declared the winner because she had to throw in the towel. And she's just saying, this is so unjust. I'm so sorry, my father. This is so unjust. This is wokeism. This is your transgenderism. This is men in women's sports. So to Kamala Harris and to all of you radical feminists out there and all of you LGBT activists, are you happy now? Are you proud? This is your grand defense of women's rights? And let me just say this, and then I want to open it up to the phones. 617-266-6868. There is a female volleyball player, 17 years old, who now has taken to X, along with President Trump and Elon Musk and Riley Gaines, and I could go on and on. who said this has to stop because somebody's going to get killed. It's now not a question of if, it's a question of when. And this 17-year-old female volleyball player was on a team that played against another team that, had a biological male posing as a woman. And he spiked the ball so hard that it smashed her head. It gave her permanent brain damage. She is now paralyzed for the rest of her life. You have to see the video. That guy's an animal. He hit that ball. He spiked that ball so hard. And it was deliberate. You can tell there's some of these LGBT transgender types, okay? Like this, they get off on beating on women or hurting women. You can see that. Now, this 17-year-old girl, young teenager, young woman, she's paralyzed now forever. Now, hopefully, Angela Carini is going to walk away without some kind of permanent brain damage. Her nose has been shattered. Her Olympic dreams shattered. She looks like she has a concussion. And that's after like 4 blows to the head. 46 seconds. And by the way, it took a lot of courage for her to stop. A lot of people would have just kept going and going and going. And then they would have been knocked out and God knows what would have happened to them. So she pulled out, I hope, before there was any more permanent damage done to this woman. Now, this guy is going to go on and fight now a Hungarian female fighter. Now, let me tell you what this Hungarian female fighter should do. She should boycott the fight. And every female boxer should say, we are boycotting. We are not going to fight, none of us. If you're going to keep sending men to fight women and put our lives on the line and our very physical safety in jeopardy, if society will not protect women, then women must start to protect themselves. And it's time for them to boycott any of these sports and sporting events. 617-266-6868. Another travesty at the Olympics. And this one is hitting home for many Americans. Yes, the fighter was Italian, but a lot of women now are speaking out. Female athletes, they are showing solidarity with Angela Carini. And I got to tell you, my heart really bleeds for this woman. So many people, tears, after watching her crying after she was couldn't go on anymore within, 45 seconds of her fight against a biological man, Iman Khalif of Algeria. He's a man. He's full of testosterone. He's got XY chromosomes. He's got the plumbing of a man. He's a man. He's a complete biological man. Physically much, much stronger. Physically much, much faster. And he smashed her nose. She's lucky to be alive. A couple of blows. Let me just quote to you what she said. This is what she said afterwards in an interview with Italian media. I'm used to suffering. I've never taken a punch like that. It was impossible to continue. I'm nobody to say it's illegal. I got into the ring to fight, but I didn't feel like it anymore after the first minute. I started to feel a strong pain in my nose. That's because he smashed it. He broke it. I didn't give up, but a punch, that was a subsequent punch after that, which I think she may have gotten a concussion. But a punch hurt too much. And so I said, enough. I'm leaving with my head held high. Bawling, crying. You can see the anguish on her face, the complete injustice of what had just been done to her. Khalif, tough guy who likes to beat on women. Then, afterwards, pumping his fists in the air in the ring. Then he spoke to reporters, and he said he wants to thank Allah for his victory. God willing, this was the first victory, he boasted. God is willing me to the golden one, i.e. to the gold medal. Carini didn't want to fight him. Carini was forced to fight this man, Khalif. And she openly said, he's a man. Men are much physically as a whole, much stronger than women. That's why we have women track and field, men track and field, women swimming, men swimming, female boxing, women's boxing, male boxing. That's why women compete against other women in competitive sports and men compete against other men in competitive sports. Because it is blatantly unfair to women to have to compete against men. I mean, this is like saying the sky is blue. Of course. Yeah. Hello. If no one else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. Allowing men in women's competitions is pure and utter evil. What you saw yesterday at the Olympics, and that's why this story has resonated with so many people. That's why you have people crying in tears when they see her in an interview apologizing to her late father, saying, I gave it everything I had. I wanted to dedicate this Olympics to you. I wanted a medal for you. I couldn't go on, Dad. I couldn't go on. I mean, this is evil, man. Democrats support this. Kamala Harris supports this. Hillary Clinton supports this. Elizabeth Warren supports this. AOC and the squad, Ayanna Pressley, Maura Healey, Hold It Healey, the governor of Massachusetts, they support this. And you're going to lecture us on women's rights? Mike Tyson, I'm gonna go to the calls now. Mike Tyson, okay, honestly, on this, God bless him. Mike Tyson has now come out and said he challenges this clown, this coward, Iman Khalif, tough guy. Says, you know what? Why don't you pick on somebody your own size? Mike Tyson says, I'll fight him in the ring, anytime, any place. All of the proceeds will go to women's battered charities. Because that's what this is. This is the battery and abuse of women. That's what this is. Just because you have gloves on and you do it in a competitive format in a boxing ring, it's still the same thing. It's a man beating the living daylights out of a woman. And I've got to say this. Since when did we as a society, you liberals are sick, man. You are really sick. What, this turns you on? This is entertainment for you? Since when has it now become entertaining to watch men beat the living crap out of women and to get off on it? And I go, yeah. So they beat him in the swimming pool. They beat him in track and field. In volleyball, they're smashing and spiking balls, causing massive head damage, brain damage, and paralysis. Now you're throwing them into the boxing ring. Yeah, look at him. 46 seconds, he smashed her face in. Yeah. All in the name of LGBTQ+. All in the name of transgenderism and transgender equality. And to the women out there, I've said this so many times. Now I'm not, forget it. Don't even listen to my words. Please go on YouTube, wherever. Watch Angela Carini. Everybody, it's going viral. I think, what is it now? 35 million? I think it's now 50 million. Just in the United States, I stand with Angela Carini. Just look at the anguish, the despair on her face. The injustice of all of this. I don't understand what women are thinking. I'm sorry, I have to say this. Do you know how hard women fought to get into competitive sports? What an incredible achievement it was for women. and the advancement of women and women's rights. And now you're what, just going to throw it all away to these transgender perverts and thugs? This animal who gets his jollies off of beating up women? You're just going to stand by and leave women utterly defenseless like this? And what about us men? No, I'm serious. I don't want to, I'm telling you, really, I said this to Grace last night. I don't want to live in a society anymore where men no longer stand up and protect our women. Where are the men? Where are the women? Where are we? All of us. This woman walked out of the ring. She's lucky to be alive. And her Olympic dreams have been destroyed and shattered. Now he's going to take on another female opponent. And we are very lucky if he doesn't kill her. Now, I'm telling you, someone's going to die. Someone's already been paralyzed. Now someone's going to die. And Kamala Harris supports all of this? And by the way, Trump is the sexist? The only guy with the guts to say, are you crazy? What are you, nuts? No way. Would you? Listen, I would never allow my daughter to get beaten up by a man like that in the ring. You have to start boycotting all of this. If there's a man on a women's field hockey team, like here, remember that story here in Massachusetts? Where some guy who couldn't make it on the men's team, so he played on a women's team, and he hit that hockey ball, the field hockey ball, so hard, it hit a girl in her face. It smashed out all of her front teeth. Literally, all of her front teeth. I mean, and she fell. She collapsed on the ground, blood spewing out of her mouth. She's going to need multiple surgeries. So, how much more does this have to go on? How much? The Olympics should be ashamed of themselves. The IOC should be ashamed of themselves. Kamala Harris and the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. Lines are jammed. I promise I've said my piece. I want to go to all of you now. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's the outrage now that is being heard all over the world. Biological men now in female sports. We know that. It's been a story for a couple of years. But yesterday in the Olympics, it was absolutely horrifying. A biological male boxer from Algeria, Karif is his last name, went into the ring, female boxing. He was banned last year. The Olympics let him in. And he's a man. Testosterone, XY chromosome. If you saw him on the street, there's no question you would say he's a man. And he went up against a female boxer. It's women's boxing, Angela Carini. And not only did he destroy her, and not only did he defeat her within 46 seconds, but he smashed her face, he smashed her nose, and she couldn't go on. And then she just broke down in tears, saying, this is just so unfair and unjust. Do you agree? 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us 70470, and as always, you can email the Kuhner Man. This is from Kevin. Jeff, I'll tell you what I've been saying since all of this insanity started a number of years back when biological men started demanding to be allowed to compete in women's sports. And I don't care if it's boxing, running, swimming, or even MMA, mixed martial arts. It's an inexcusable position to be put in. But these female athletes, whether in high school sports or all the way up to the Olympics, need to refuse to compete and simply boycott in protest. If enough girls do this and enough women do this, it'll have to come to a stop. They want to see what we'll put up with. So don't put up with it. Bingo. Bingo. I couldn't agree more. I mean, every comma, every period I agree with. You know, we men, frankly, should be demanding that this stop immediately. Okay, that as a civilized society, you should be protecting women from battery. And that's what this is. This is abuse and battery. But women, you have to protect yourselves. You have to boycott. You have to boycott. And if everybody boycotts, then this stops. That's it. It's that simple. It's that simple. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quickly. William on Messenger. Jeff, you notice they aren't even offering to create a transgender group so the transgender community can play or compete against each other. That would solve the issue. Bingo. But they don't want that because it's exactly what Kevin said. They want to see how much we can put up with, how much we will put up with. This is not about recognizing people who are transgender. If they feel so uncomfortable that he can't compete with fellow men, even though he's got the plumbing and the hormones and the chromosomes of a man, fine. Then compete against a fellow transgender boxer. But you see, no. If he beats up on women, as he said, I'm getting the gold medal. And this leads me to this point right here. Mark on Messenger. And I think Mark nailed it. Why don't they want their own transgender category? Here's why. Jeff, a male who competes in female sports and defeats that woman is just I can't say this on the air, is just a horrible, let me clean it up a little bit, is just a horrible male athlete who can't cut it in male sports. It's disgusting. What happened to the quote-unquote Me Too movement? Where are they now? They're horrible athletes. They can't compete against fellow men. So like a bunch of cowards, they want to beat up on women. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. John in Malden. You're going to start us off, John. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Yeah, morning, Jeff. Yeah, you know what? Not for nothing, but it should be stopped now. They should boycott and get a lawyer just to sue the Olympic Committee for allowing this to happen. It's ridiculous what's been going on, with the men competing with women, and think that, the woman, but then really not. It's uncalled for. It's unjust.
Well, and notice, John, it gets worse and worse. It started off, if you remember, in bathrooms. They want to have access to female bathrooms, men in bathrooms. Then it was dressing rooms at Target, as I like to call it. Then it went from bathrooms and dressing rooms to showers. So now they want to shower, say at high schools or colleges or wherever. It doesn't matter, YMCAs or gyms or spas or saunas, whatever. People go, whatever, at a sauna or a spa. Now they want to keep physically exposing themselves to women in the shower. Now it's competing in sports. Now it's competing in, let's say, violent sports, like boxing. They just keep upping and upping and upping and upping. And the damage is getting worse. And I agree with you, John. It's time now for a massive boycott. We have to say enough is enough. And it's not going to happen until the women start standing up for themselves. And that's what I'm hoping. She won't do it because she wants the gold medal. She's going to try. They train. I understand. Look, you train all these years for this moment. You don't want to just throw it away and disqualify yourself. I understand. But to that woman now, the Hungarian boxer, I could say her name, but nobody will know who she is. But my point, she's an amateur boxer. But she's from Hungary. That's his next opponent. As her father, I'd say, you know what? Let me go in the ring with this guy. Tough guy. Let me go in. You can't win. This is not the movies. This is not Hollywood. And it's not just that you can't win. It's that you could walk out of there with either a permanent damage, an injury for the rest of your life, or you could walk out there dead. I mean, one really good shot to the head, and you could have internal brain, like bleeding of the brain. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want this to be your funeral. I mean, that's how dangerous this is. So, for the safety of these women, frankly, they shouldn't compete. Am I wrong, John?
Oh, you're not wrong. They shouldn't compete at all. They should. Right now is the right time to protest. This is the right timing to protest right now after what happened.
I agree.
She could have been dead.
I agree.
She could have been dead.
I agree. John, thank you very much for that call. Completely agree. Betty in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Betty, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Betty?
Jeff, I am pissed off. This is such an outrage. I mean, I played women's sports, softball, volleyball, and I remember we didn't even like showering with the girls. When we came in, we would put up shower curtains and stuff. And, I mean, I just want to know whose idea was it? Whose idea was it to say, okay, this is an absolute N to the frickin' O. It's a flat-out no. I mean, I want the people to be put in the ring with their hands tied behind their back and just take a few hits. It's absolutely disgusting. I would have gotten in that ring. I would have lifted my shirt and said, I have boobs, you lose, raised my hand in victory. I would have started airboxing around the ring and singing my national anthem. This is a disgrace. And you're absolutely right. This should be boycotted. There's enough barriers to overcome than to be set up to fail. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Betty, have you seen the video of her where she goes on her knees, basically collapses, and she's bawling. She's weeping after that. So she throws in the towel, or whatever, her corner throws in the towel. And so they're side by side. The referee lifts his arm up. He's, boasting. He's pumping his fists. And then she just goes on her knees and she starts to cry. And I don't know if you've seen that video or not, Betty, but trust me when everybody's commenting, try not to cry watching it. It's so powerful because it was so raw and it was so real. You can see on her face, on her body, just how unfair, how unjust, how wrong this was. And it's heartbreaking. Honestly. I don't know, Betty, have you seen the video by any chance?
Yes, I saw the video, and I can't stand watching the one of them fighting. It's an absolute disgrace. And look at all that hard work. People are fighting. They're doing their sport for their lifetime. And to go in there, it was like they're setting her up to fail. I mean, it was so heart-wrenching. She's doing it for her father. She's doing it for all the right reasons. And they're just, and this is what the left is doing. They're just pulling the rug out from under you. I mean, I just felt my heart went out to her. I know her father's really proud of her, but so gut-wrenching.
Betty, thank you very much for that call. No, and she's talking about it. That's what's so powerful. I mean, by the way, many of you are going to say, well, Jeff, how do you know this? There's the translation. So from the Italian to the English. So when you see it, you're going to see English subtitles. And my wife, as you know, Grace is of Italian descent. And she spoke Italian with her parents. So her Italian's actually quite good. And so I said, hey, is this like translation accurate? And she's like, oh yeah, it's very accurate. So this is her late father. And he passed away. He helped train her for years and years and years. And she goes on about how grueling the training sessions were and how he would just push her and say, if you want to win the Olympic gold, if you want a medal even, silver or bronze, you got to work and work and train and train and train. And so she said he would push me and push me and push me. We'd train for hours and hours and hours. And she said, you're like those cyclists. It's that last kilometer. They pedal harder. He goes, so I want you to work even harder now. And so she said, this was it. I was going to win it for my father. And I trained. I couldn't have trained any harder. And this. She goes, I took blow after blow after blow. And I just said, I can't do this. She goes, my dad, she's like talking to her father who's in heaven. Dad, I went that last kilometer like you taught me. And basically I was going to die. If I kept going, I was going to die. And these idiots on the left, this is a victory, this is progress, this is diversity, equity, inclusion. Trampling over women like this, beating women, destroying the dreams of women, violating women. 617-266-6868 is the number. Howard in Florida. Thanks for holding, Howard, and welcome.
Jeff, I just want to tell you, I listen to a lot of talk radio, and I'm not blowing smoke. You are number one, and we thank God for who you are. But two points I want to make, and I'll be brief. First one, this gentleman is a Muslim, and forgive me, I'm not prejudiced against anybody, but think about it. Muslims stone women to death. That's their culture. Okay? That's their culture. Women does something wrong that they think, stone them to death. This man felt nothing about beating this woman up. Disgusting. But here's my more important point. For the transgender community, there's a very simple solution. You got to walk the walk and not talk the talk. If you want to claim to be a woman, the schwanz has got to go. It's got to be cut off before you say you're a woman. That's the first rule, okay? If you can't pass that test, you're not a woman. So stop with the talk and the talk. Walk the walk.
Howard, drop the mic. I mean, really? You so nailed it, man. Drop the mic. Howard, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Or like my wonderful Grace says, if it dangles, it's a boy. If it doesn't dangle, it's a woman. It's a girl. It's really that simple. It's not rocket science. I know. See, that's the thing. Democrats now, they can't define what a woman is. So, as Howard says, the Schwanza. There it is. It's really that simple. Do you have one or you don't have one? John in Arizona. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. And
my pleasure.
Let me tell you, this first hour has had some of the best callers. Of course, you always have the best, but this was an education. I think it should be rebroadcast as well.
Oh, thank you, Howard.
During the day.
Sorry, thank you, John.
Because this is enlightening. And I'm going to say one thing. Many of the people have hit on many of the things. One of them, you're looking at cultural who's being integrated into a political world of what I'm going to say the Kamalas and all the crazy Democrats trying to tear down our social norms, our families, how we, treat our children so good and take care, all these things. What are they doing? They're integrating into those things, and they're continuing to. It's their philosophy of bring all the little weirdos and crazies together, and we can, tear down a government. We can tear down a society, and it's so sick. And we do have to take action. We have to stop it in the colleges. We have to protest. We have to go vote out the crazy wackos, and we have to stop it. Make it against the law. It is violation of a woman, period. It is against the law.
I so agree. John, let me ask you, if you don't mind, a personal question, because this is I agree with you completely, but let me just play devil's advocate, because this is what I hear from many families. They go, look, Jeff, you, John in Arizona, Kuhner country, You're rational, logical. You make an excellent point. Theoretically, philosophically, we can't counter-argument that. We can't rebut it. We can't refute it. But I got a daughter, and she gets up every day at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And she works out in the morning. She goes to school. She works out in the afternoon. She works out all weekend. All this woman does is, my girl, all she does is school and train. School and train, school and train. And now comes the big competition. And this is everything. It's blood, sweat, and tears. Everything she's put into this. And it's the family. Because the father or the mother, someone will drive them to say they're swimming meet or whatever it is that they do. Okay? Whatever sport they're playing. How do you deny someone their chance when they have trained so hard? And so my question to you, if this was your daughter, and now she's about to enter the ring against a biological man, it's the Olympics. She gets up at 3 every morning, John. You drive her to the gym. You get up at 3 every morning. She works out 3, 4, 5 hours. Then she goes and either has a job or she goes to school or whatever it is. And then right after, you pick her up. You take her to the gym, and she works out for another 3, 4 hours. And basically, this is her life. All day, every day, for years and years and years. And it all comes down to this moment. Would you tell her, honey, you're not going to fight this man? You're not going to do it. A, for your safety. B, we're going to boycott because it's a man. It's the wrong thing to do. To have him fight? Or would you let her get in that ring? Because most likely, John, like Angela Carini, she would say to you, Dad, I've gone this far. I got to walk that last kilometer. You got to let me go in that ring. What would you do, John?
First of all, I would be very active in the local, whether it's school, some type of club organization, whatever it is, and know what the path is looking like. What kind of events are they going to be in as they're coming up? The young ages and developing. What is going on? I would really be in it, and I would be very highly vocal and organized, taking action, making sure that their bylaws are correct. Fight the friggin' laws that they're trying to make on our kids. But when she got to the point and she knew that they were going to be, because this is their big decision on her part, but I would say, I want you to do what you think is right, but I don't want you to put yourself in harm's way and hurt yourself. And I would say, you're going to go out before the world, and you're going to be seen as a top female athlete. And the person they're going to bring in the ring is dangerous, is a male, and could kill you. I would want you to think about that. I'm not saying not go into the ring, but you do not have to fight that individual. You can stare at them, and then you can turn around and walk away. Because what you've done, you've won. You've achieved the highest level and the recognition of the people of the world and your peers. They are not going to look down on you. That is to me, is one of the seminal moments to putting these little guys with their little tallywaggles back in their pants and go away. Because you're going to have to fight it on that.
You know what? I mean, John, you very eloquent. And almost word for word, I think that's what I would do. I mean, you never know until you're confronted, but because you capture, I think, exactly the dilemma, the ambivalence that parents have, let's say, and you and I as fathers, right? That, you want your daughter, hey, it's your choice. Carini was 25 years old. She's a woman. I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're a woman, for God's sake. You're an adult, and you've trained this hard, and we've trained this hard, and we've come this far, and and I understand what this means to you, but please, you're going in against a man. As you put it, it's very dangerous. You're taking your life in your hands now. You've already won. You don't need to fight this loser. You know, you don't get in there, make your point, let's get out. And we'll sue the Olympics. I think that's the only thing I would add on top of what you said. And honey, sweetheart, if I call her Sweet Cheeks, that's my nickname, Sweet Cheeks. We'll get a lawyer. We'll sue the hell out of her. John, thank you very much for that call. Great call. In all honesty, what would you do? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, text line is absolutely on fire. Oh, many of you are weighing in. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 617. Jeff, the Hungarian woman boxer, who's now going to face this biological man in the next round, should get in the ring, pull down her shorts, and demand that this Algerian Muslim pull down his, and then she'll compete. Show the world the full picture. This is from 781. Jeff, have you ever noticed that biological females who quote-unquote identify as males never, and never is in caps, never compete with biological men? It's only the other way around. Bingo. That is so true. Have you noticed that? You never, ever, I don't think there's a case of a biological woman, a biological female saying, oh, I'm a man, and then trying to compete against male athletes. It's always a guy who pretends to be a woman. That's what it means when they say they identify. I'm a woman. And they want to compete against women because it's easier for them, because most of them suck at their sport and they can't beat fellow male athletes. So go pick on women. Okay, last one. Then I want to go to the phone lines. This is from 508. Jeff, much of the problem, and this is no surprise, originates in the colleges and universities, which offer incentives for this travesty in the form of athletic scholarships to males who pretend to be females. Bingo. Now it's becoming big money. So there's even more incentives now for basically mediocre, frankly to me, loser male athletes. And because they can't cut it, and by the way, there's no dishonor. Okay, you lose. But no, for them, no. They can't cut it as male athletes, or they're very ordinary in their sport. So, hey, let me put on some lipstick and claim I'm a woman. And they get scholarships, they get money, and they start beating up on women. And suddenly they become superstars. This guy, I trust you, have him compete against fellow men, this Algerian boxer, against male boxers. He wouldn't even make it past the first round. I don't think he wouldn't even make it on the male Olympic team. Now, he's going to win the gold medal. I mean, and he knows he's going to win basically 3 or 4 punches. That's it. I mean, that's it. There's only so much a woman can take. Break her eye socket, give her a concussion, break her jaw, break her nose, smash her eardrum. So he knows, hey, I stick with the men. I'm nothing. I pretend to be a woman. Hello, gold medal and all the endorsements that come with it. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Dave in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. First off, thank you to the gentleman from Florida for the chuckle. I laughed all the way down Route 95 after hearing that. And the other guy from Arizona with the word tallywhacker. I haven't heard that since I saw the Porky's movie. Anyway, could you explain to me how this guy who is a Muslim, can claim that he's a woman and he's not stoned when he goes home? Isn't that like against the religion of peace?
Well, Dave, that's a very good point. But I think
doesn't that like violate the Quran or the protocols thereof?
Oh yeah,
just curious.
But Dave, look, I want to commend Howard for his courage, because let's be honest, in Islamic culture, women in most parts are treated as third, fourth class citizens. Domestic violence is rampant. Beating women is rampant. Stoning women is rampant. So the fact that he's beaten the hell out of women, and if you can watch, it's a 45-second fight. Watch his face. He gets off on it. You can see on his face. He enjoys it. Now, this is just me speculating, okay, Dave? You may agree, you may disagree. I think part of the reason is that he said, I'm a female boxer, is he has a thing about beating women. He gets off. He enjoys beating up women. Dave, this guy, you want about hating women and being a domestic abuser. This guy, the more he punches a woman's face in, the happier he gets. What say you?
I say he's a scumbag, period, the end. I say he's a wimp.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree. Oh, he's going to get his. Dave, I'm telling you, Mike Tyson's challenged him. A lot of people, I'm telling you, this guy, he's going to run up eventually against a male boxer. And he's going to do that male boxer is going to do the world a favor. And that male boxer is going to take this guy's smirk right off his face. Dave, thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, quick reset. I'm up against the break, but I'll come back, take all of your calls. So it's the story now. I'm sure all of you have heard it. It's all over social media. It's all over the media itself. Another major scandal at the Olympics. This time, it's not the opening ceremony and drag queen last suppers. Now it's a biological male boxer, and he's a man, believe me, in every way, who got in as a woman. They allowed him to fight women in female boxing, and he destroyed his opponent in 46 seconds. Your reaction next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's a massive story. It's getting bigger almost by the second, and it's now not just having a cultural impact. There's now also a huge political backlash, especially against Kamala Harris and the Democrats. I like Riley Gaines. I respect Riley Gaines. She's a former NCAA swimmer, a very good swimmer, who has really stuck her neck out, speaking out against transgenderism in sports, and especially what we've now been witnessing for about a good 5-6 years now, I would say. She talked about how biological men are ruining female sports, female swimming, how uncomfortable so many women feel when these men pretending to be women or identifying as women are in the shower, in the women's bathroom, disrobing in front of them, undressing in front of them with their schlong hanging out, or taking showers in front of them. And as many, many women have testified, these are men that still find women attractive. So they identify as women, but they still find women very, very sexually appealing. Let's put it that way. So they say they get aroused in front of us. I have to keep it clean. It's a family show, but you know what I mean. So they go, we're trying to, we're showering and this guy's, he's aroused. Or he's walking around taking his clothes off. He sees us and he's aroused. And so many of us leave the bathroom or go to the stall that in other words, they feel incredibly awkward and that their privacy has been completely violated. Well, she's now speaking out. She said she's had enough. And now Riley Gaines is saying a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote against women. Because Kamala Harris fully supports biological men in the name of transgenderism, the LGBTQ alphabet, She supports men in women's sports. And so what happened at the Olympics yesterday, Kamala completely supports and embraces, in which a fully biological male, Algerian boxer, pummeled and destroyed an Italian female boxer, Angela Carini, within 46 seconds, smashing her nose, breaking her nose. She probably has a concussion, and after 46 seconds, she just could not continue. And when the fight was over, and this is the really heartbreaking, tragic scene, that sight, you can see it, she fell to her knees and started to weep, saying just how unjust and how unfair all of this is. Sarah Palin is now weighing in. I want to read to you what she now has put out on X. And I agree with her completely. As you know, she played basketball, I believe college basketball. She did a lot of sports growing up, high school, college. She encourages her daughters to be active in sports. Here's what she wrote. Calling out all you fake feminists, pretending men aren't trampling us in the arena. You female politicians, influencers, you girly sportscasters with a platform, too confused, or, I can't say this word, chicken poop, or whatever, chicken manure, chicken crap. Too confused or chicken crap to take a stand for women. Disrespecting what many of us fought for in continuance of Title IX and through participation in sports for years. Growing up obsessed with sports, I'm the daughter of a coach, former sports reporter, raising girls to kick ass in the arena of life via lessons learned in athletics. I am sickened by you hypocrites accepting this nonsense. Fake. You're all fake. 617. She's completely right. Kamala Harris is a fake feminist. Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, I can run down the whole line. Every single one of them are fake feminists. They have turned their back on women. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Bob in Raynham. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I'd like to make 2 points.
Yes.
One, I love Riley Gaines, and God bless this young lady from Italy, and hopefully this will put an end to this nonsense. No other female should enter the ring they should enter the ring, but they should just take a knee. I mean, all the phonies will be there next time to see the reaction. They should just take a knee and walk out of the event. And it should go on for every person that has to give the thing the gold medal and let it, pretend it won a gold medal or whatever, just like they pretend everything else. But the second point I'd like to make is, I believe a lot of this transgender nonsense and all these school shootings and everything else are a result of giving our young children with developing minds, mind-altering drugs on it from an early age, because there's no parenting in the home, and rather than giving the kid a little, boot in the ass from time to time, it's much easier to give them a drug and pacify them and take away their P&V and the way little boys are. But shame on the medical community, shame on the pharmaceutical community. I mean, what children we keep that aren't aborted, these poor parents are destroying their kids right from the get-go. It's a disgrace.
Bob, you're not 100, as I like to say. You're 1,000% correct. And there's a video. It's going viral everywhere. It was a couple days ago. It was before this, what happened yesterday in the Olympics. And I showed it to Grace. It's going everywhere. It's a boy. What do you want to call him? A young man? Whatever. It's a teenager. Okay, it's a teenage boy dressed as a woman. So, but you can tell he's got an Adam's apple. He's a boy. He's clearly a boy. He's got the plumbing of a boy. Anyway, he's got earrings. He's got lipstick. He's got eyeshadow. But this is the scary thing. He starts, apparently someone called him sir. I forget what it was. It was at a restaurant or a Panera Bread, one of these sandwich places. And somebody called him sir. And he now went apoplectic. So he's doing this video. And I think it was on, was it YouTube or TikTok? Anyway, one of these. And so he's doing this video and he starts going crazy that even though he was born a male, even though his birth certificate says male, if he chooses not to believe that he's a male, then he's not a male. But then this is the part that gets really scary. He starts to go on and say, I'm a bear. If I want to be a bear, then I'm a bear. And you don't have the right, and society doesn't have the right to tell me that I'm not a bear. And so if I'm a bear, you have to recognize and treat me like a bear. Do you understand? Because I have an inner bear. The guy's crazy. I mean, really, no, it's frightening. You look, you're nuts. Like, no, really, you need psychiatric help. And there's a part of it. I'm not saying all of it, but there's a part of it. It's almost like, are you possessed? No, really, it's like almost like demonic possession. It's like, it's like something out of a Hollywood movie, like The Exorcist. You know, like you start claiming you're like, I'm a wolf, I'm a bear, like, really, yeah, like, okay, whatever, hey, buddy, yeah, right. There's something seriously wrong going on. And you're right. It's mental illness. We're rewarding mental illness. We're not treating mental illness. This person is seriously mentally ill. And now the restaurant had to give this guy an apology. The restaurant, whatever, the sandwich place, and we're so sorry. I'm like, you're talking to a lunatic. Literally to a whack job. That's exactly it, Mike. What pronouns do you use for a bear? And then what should you know? Really, like, what do you feed a bear? No, really, if you're a bear, what do I do? Because you're a bear. So obviously you don't use a fork and knife, right? So what do I do? I put everything in a little bowl for you? Like, no, really, I'm serious. Like, well, what do I do? I put it on the floor and you just go on your fours? I'm serious. I said, and you start eating with your mouth? Like, this is social, moral, religious, spiritual, cultural, pure anarchy. It's chaos. It's insanity. And, and they're pushing 9, 10, 11-year-olds to literally mutilate their bodies, cut off their body parts. Genital mutilation. Well, no, you're not a boy, you're a girl. Chop it off. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. If the Olympics allows biological men to compete with women's sports in the next Olympics, should we boycott the Olympics in Los Angeles? As you know, the next Summer Olympics are slated to be here in the United States in 2028 in LA. If they allow biological men to compete in female sports, should we boycott the LA Olympics? A, yes. B, no. I want to hear from you. I'm an A on this all the way. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER. And as always, you can vote on X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, KUHNER, 617-266-6868. David in Kentucky. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Very good. How are you, David?
Good. Hey, I know a couple days ago when they were talking about J.D. Vance being weird, I'm thinking I want to have your baby in a weird, non-sexual way because men can have babies today.
Well, speaking of weird, what do you think about men pretending to be women, putting on, makeup and jewelry and wigs like this guy did, and then just beating the hell out of women? Just coming in there and just beating them black and blue.
Well, let me just say this. I think boys today are being very confused. So if there's any mental health going on, it's society's doing, because it used to be a time where men would have so much respect for women. They'd pull their chair out, or they'd stand up in the room if a woman entered the room, or they opened their car door, or they would let the woman enter a place first before them. And they went from that to, you can't tell a woman's beautiful no more. You can't tell her she looks nice anymore because it's sexual. It's like, it's just confusing people. So now what are we going to do? It's like, if they're going to accept that in the Olympics, we're going to have a bunch of boys just hitting girls in the face because they go, well, we saw on the Olympics that it's okay to hit girls. So if that's the case, I think if I'm a lawyer, I think I'm going to take a lot of cases of men in jail that have beaten up women and say, let my people go because it's okay to hit women.
David, you make a fascinating point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But that's a very, very interesting point. If we're going to start to allow biological men in sports to just, beat the stuffing out of women, okay. So, what's to prevent, husbands, boyfriends, whoever, just, beating women, just beating the crap out of women. And it's like we're starting to normalize domestic violence and really battery on women. And this is a very dangerous road we're going down on so many levels. And I got to tell you, David, now you may disagree with me. From what I've been observing, and again, it's more my area here, maybe different from where you are in Kentucky, but I'm noticing women, again, young girls, okay, I'm talking like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like, young teenagers and teenagers. Many of them are increasingly, quote unquote, male. They look male, they act male, the way they dress, but many of them are getting into fights, fist fights, brawls, while men are becoming much more feminine. They will wear earrings, they will wear makeup, they're very effete, they don't want to fight, they're afraid to fight, they're very wimpy. So what I'm noticing is that women are becoming more quote unquote men or male or masculine, and young teenage boys are becoming more and more feminine. Have you noticed that, or is that just something I'm noticing here in Massachusetts?
I haven't really noticed it, but I know that you can go online and you can look up all the women who have been raped in prisons, or they're allegedly been raped in prison. I think there's even some in New Jersey and stuff where transgenders were in prison raping women. That's the stories that I read and stuff or whatever, but all the stuff that they're doing to young men is like, men are men. You got to be men, go out and build a fort, go climb a tree. But no, they want to treat them like they're little girls, put your little helmet on because you might get hurt. Oh, don't play soccer because you might get, it's like football. It's like they're totally just wiping out what a man is, but you're right. There's like, you try to turn them into little girls now instead of being men.
It's a war on manhood. And it's a war on men, and they're becoming feminized. You absolutely nailed it. And I think it's a war ultimately, I think this is a war on human nature, and really a war on God. Ultimately, this is a war on God and how God created us. And I think that's why they're pushing this transgenderism so hard in every aspect of life. Because you're right. They don't want men to be men, and they don't want women to be women. If they can destroy the sexes and our nature, then, as Orwell said in 1984, then 2 + 2 = 5. Then they can literally do anything. They can mold us like clay. And so that's what they're trying to do. Look, Ashton complains about this to me all the time, that he says, as a boy, he feels constantly frustrated. He says exactly what you say. If I want to go play with my friends, and we want to play touch football, or we want to play, basketball or baseball, or if we want to wrestle or horseplay, or we're constantly being told you can't do that, don't do that. He says they're always trying to turn us into girls. He says that over and over and over again. And what I'm noticing, David, is at least with his generation, they're really starting to resent it. Like, they're really starting to resent it. And I don't know what that's going to lead to. I hope it doesn't lead to anything bad. But I sense a real backlash coming, David. I think a lot of young men and a lot of young boys are saying enough is enough. Really, we're not girls. We're not women. Don't feminize us. Let us be us. But, look, David, just look at the term toxic masculinity. That's a common term now in colleges and universities, that literally to be masculine, just to be manly, like what you said, to want to play sports, to be outdoors, to build forts, to be more rough and tumble, or to open doors for women, to hold the chair for a woman, to have a sense of chivalry. That's quote unquote toxic. That's something, no, you should, if you're manly, if you're masculine, that's poisonous. That's toxic. That you can't have that. That's got to be eradicated and destroyed. So think about that. That's what we want. Now, who's going to fight our wars? I'm just saying, who's going to be the firefighters and the police officers and, the soldiers that we need to defend our country and to keep our streets safe? I'm not saying there aren't women that can do it. Some can. But it's overwhelmingly men. And if you're feminizing men, you're screwed. Am I wrong?
You hit the nail on the head or whatever, but you're right. When I don't know if it was you or somebody else talked about that, about Kamala Harris. She isn't going to stand up. She isn't going to stand up for against us. She's not going to speak out against us. The left isn't going to speak out against us. I mean, they couldn't even speak out against the Last Supper because they're destroying religion. It's like they don't care. It's what they get. And Kamala's just using the LGBT community for votes. She ain't going to say nothing against this because she'll lose votes if she does. So we live in a sick, demented society. I mean, I was born in 1960. I mean, I know what it was like being a little boy, and you use your imagination, you climbed trees, and you built forts, and you jumped ramps on skateboards, and went outside, and you just played as boys and everything, and used your imagination. Now it's like it's like they destroyed it, and you're not growing up. You're not growing up like you did or I did anymore. You're growing up. I mean, don't buy them G.I. Joes. Just go buy them Barbie dolls.
Exactly. No, really, in all seriousness, put them in dresses, put makeup and earrings, and have them play Barbie dolls. Or, have them, really. Or stick them in front of a screen where they play video games all day. It's either one or the other. And we're living now with the repercussions of that. David, excellent call. Really good call. 617-266-6868 is the number. And Kamala Harris, it's not just that she's turning a blind eye. She supports this. When asked repeatedly, should biological men compete in women's sports? She supports this. So what you saw yesterday in Paris at the Olympics with that Algerian man pummeling and viciously beating that Italian female boxer, Kamala Harris supports this. When that poor woman, Angela Carini, fell on her knees and started crying, saying, this is so unfair, this is so unjust, with her broken nose and her concussed head, lucky, frankly, to be alive. Look at that. To the woke left, this is what you've brought. To the Kamala Harris, this is what you've brought. This is what you support. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm all over this. I mean, they should be cutting the campaign ads right now. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, 8 o'clock, you know what that means. Kuhner's call log, caller of the week.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Thor.
I worked for the 1996 Olympics, and we hosted the Olympic yachting venue in Savannah, Georgia. And I was very high up in management there. And I can tell you that the Olympic Organizing Committee, the ICC, is nothing but a criminal enterprise. I sat in meetings and watched sponsors pass out fat envelopes full of cash to the members of the boards. After the Atlanta Olympics ended, they declared bankruptcy 2 or 3 days after the Olympics ended and destroyed livelihoods of small businesses in and around Atlanta that sprung up to support the Atlanta Olympics. When Boston was trying to win the Olympics in 2015, I fought behind the scenes to make sure that it didn't happen because it is the biggest scam and criminal enterprise on the planet. It is a crime what they do. I appreciate the athletes and what they go through to get there, but it's been corrupted beyond belief. It is not about the sport. It is not about anything. It's about the globalist agenda. It's about all the money. That's all the Olympics are about.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Great call. And by the way, I love that name, Thor. I know I said it at the time, but I want to repeat it. I love that name. Okay, my friends, discover MyPillow's $25 extravaganza. You can get amazing deals on select items like 2-pack MyPillows, fashionable sandals, luxury towel sets, all for just $25 each. Also, snag a 4-pack dish towels, the new premium MyPillows in Giza fabric. Yes, $25. So order today. Go to MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, or call 1-800-972-2316, 1-800-972-2316, and don't forget to use the promo code WRKO. Okay, let me throw this log on the fire. Do you think President Trump should seize on this issue and cut campaign ads showing Angela Carini crying, with the subtitles obviously underneath, about how she's speaking to her late father and how unfair and unjust all of this is, and how she didn't want to lose her life, and that's why she decided to quit after 46 seconds, and then play a cut of Kamala Harris, and we have her on tape repeatedly saying that it is bigotry, it is quote-unquote transphobia or transphobic to prevent biological men who identify as women, quote-unquote, to participate in female sports. And to say who really is for women's rights. I'm just curious. 617-266-6868. Ellie in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Ellie, and welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Ellie?
Good. I love you in a non-pagan way.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. Did you see the video by any chance?
No, I didn't see the video. But hang on, let me just switch. Wait a minute. There you go. My phone was buzzing. I didn't see it. It sounds really sad, but it's like I kind of look at things from a bird's eye view. It's like I see everything happening on the whole planet, all the confusion and the menticide, which means killing of the mind of the masses, because they can't think for themselves anymore. I see these sheep being all manipulated by these by the sheepdogs, you know how all the sheep move in the same direction and the dogs circle them, and stuff like that. That's kind of what I see. But I also kind of see everything that's happening in the world. It's like it's like we're reverting back to the old thousands of years ago when they had blood sport, you know?
Well, what we're really you're right, but what we're also really reverting to, I mean, really, it's almost like, you talk about paganism, really almost like Neanderthals, where men would walk around with clubs and just smash women over the head.
Well, yeah, it's like the strong against the weak, and it becomes a sport. It's the same thing with the Roman days when they had the lions, chew up the Christians and stuff like that for sport. It's like that kind of mentality seems to be coming back.
No question. No question. Look, as I said this in my opening monologue, but it bears repeating. I mean, there are liberals out there. There's no question. And Muslims. Let's call it, as it is. They love this form of entertainment. To see a man, a biological man, beat a woman black and blue. They get off on this. And, you can tell that male boxer does, and you can tell many of his supporters do. And it's like, the more you hit a woman, the more they love it. Smash her face, smash her teeth, smash her jaw, smash her eyes, give her a concussion, kill her. And then, as I said, look, this just came out as well. There's a 17-year-old volleyball player, a female, okay? In fact, quite a good volleyball player. And she's saying someone's going to get killed. I know. She sent out the video of what happened to her. So she plays on a volleyball team. The other team brought in a male, again, disguising or pretending to be a female. And he spiked the ball so hard, he ripped practically her head off. She collapsed on the ground. She had a massive brain damage. She is now paralyzed. The woman can't walk. The woman can barely move. She's for the rest of her life. Now, that's another one that's making the rounds, because she said, someone's going to get killed. I feel sorry. I stand with Angela Carini, the Italian boxer. And she said, look at me. I'm paralyzed. We don't know what's going to happen to Angela now. Her nose was shattered. Her Olympic dreams were also shattered. But her head, she took massive blows. I'm telling you, the woman has a concussion. And I hope it's just that and not brain damage. Because that's the ferocity of the blows that she's taking. Because this guy's a biological male, tough guy. She said, it almost killed me. Someone's going to get killed. And the chilling thing is, she says, and I think someone could get killed this Olympics. Like, maybe the next fighter won't be so lucky. This Hungarian that he's going to face. Maybe she won't pull out after 46 seconds. Maybe she's going to try to, tough it out for the whole round or whatever. And he'll kill her. And so she's warning. She says, girls, women are going to start to die. They're already being seriously maimed and injured, like me. Permanent, lifelong injury. I'm paralyzed. Now, where's Nancy Pelosi? Where's Elizabeth Warren? Where's Alexandria Fidel Castro Cortez? Where are all the feminists? Where's Kamala Harris? Because when it comes to abortion, when it comes to them killing babies, holy mackerel. Then they're shooting, they're protesting, they're demonstrating, they're cutting ads, they're yelling, screaming, shrieking. Oh my God. But when women are being beaten to a pulp or paralyzed, or suffering massive brain damage, or being violated, or being raped by biological men who are in women bathrooms and who are in women's showers and now competing in female sports, they support it. They support it. So I'm sorry. Sarah Palin is completely right. These are hypocrites. These are fake feminists. These are women who don't give a damn about other women. And to me, this is a clear-cut issue. Either you believe men can beat women, or you don't believe men can beat women. It's either one or the other. Am I wrong, Ellie?
Oh, no, absolutely not. But it's like, you know what the scary thing is? The scary thing is that people are getting desensitized now to all this stuff. And all the people that go to games like that, it's like, why are they even paying to go to these games?
That's a great point. Here's my prediction. There's going to be a huge audience now for the next fight, for this Algerian against that Hungarian fighter, because you're going to see a lot. I'm telling you, liberals are going to tune in and say they want to see this guy beat this Hungarian girl to a pulp. They're going to be watching this in Algeria. They're going to be watching this in the Middle East. It's their new entertainment. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, boy, the reaction, I gotta say, story is red hot, as it is obviously on social media and all across the country. This is a really good point by Michael, who sent it to me on Messenger. Jeff, it's a brilliant point, actually. Jeff, what do you think the reaction would have been if USA Gymnastics superstar Simone Biles lost the gold medal to a man yesterday at the Olympics? That is a really, really perceptive point. Can you imagine the outrage if they had a biological male pretending to be a woman or claiming or identifying as a woman compete against Simone Biles and Team USA, and rip that Olympic medal, that gold, right out of her, right off her chest? I mean, people would say that is so unfair, that is so unjust. And yet, when this Algerian guy, and he's a guy, goes into the ring and just pummels, he smashes her face. There's no other way to put it. He destroys this poor Italian female boxer, Carini. And it's like, well, it's boxing. That's what she signed up for. It's beyond pathetic. It's beyond pathetic. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from Michael. Apparently it's breaking news, and I want to thank Michael for sending it to me on Messenger. So, breaking right now. Irish boxer Kelly Harrington, an Olympic gold medalist in 2021, has said she will, quote-unquote, refuse to compete against any boxers who are biological males at this Olympics. There are currently 2 men. I thought it was just one, but I guess there's 2. There are apparently currently 2 men participating in the ladies' event in Paris. Good for her. So, she's the former Olympic gold medalist. She's saying, if I have to go up against a man, I'm going to boycott. I'm going to refuse to compete and refuse to fight. Everybody, good for Kelly Harrington. Everybody should follow Kelly. Everybody. If every female boxer came out and said, I'm not going to compete, these 2 men are still fighting, we're not competing, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? You're going to have what? Empty podiums? You're just going to have nobody win the gold and the bronze and the silver, except for these 2 idiots, these 2 men? So, better yet, I would have them, I like the suggestion from much of the audience, have them go into the ring, do their thing, you throw some shadow jabs and, you move around the ring, and then just take a knee and just walk out. Like, in other words, in protest. No, we're not going to fight a man. No. And if you want, point the glove, no, really, at your plumbing. Forget it, between the legs. Point down there, point to him, point to you, and say, with your boxing glove, no, and just walk out. What are they going to do? Look, they've got to start doing this. And she's brave for taking this stand, because I know it's deeply unpopular with the media elites and the cultural elites. But I'm telling you, this action now could save a woman's life. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thanks for taking the call, Jeff.
My pleasure.
What you're seeing is societal breakdown. And what this basically is that when you've got men beating up women and everybody applauding it, I agree with you. Not only in boxing should they do away with this, but every everywhere that it exists. Anytime that a man wants to compete with a woman in the Olympics, all of the women that are involved should that's it. They should stand up for women around the world and basically reject it. And if you reject it, what will happen is that you're going to turn heads and changes will happen. But this is bigger than that. This is basically, stripping a person of their individuality, of who they are and what they are. I mean, when you really think about it, we're people. We're not things. We're not an it. You're getting it right down to the point of where it's very easy to do things to things instead of people. It's harder to do something to a person and an identity than it is if you've declared yourself an it or something other than a woman or a male. So bottom line is that you see a transformation of the world going on, because let's face it, it's the leaders of the world that are condoning this. These are the organizers of the Olympics and all the countries that are involved. There's a transition going on in the world, Jeff. And basically, they're starting with the dehumanizing men, because let's face it, men would be the opposition force. If anything came up, they're the people that are going to stand up to a country that maybe is trying to transform them. And quite honestly,
No, you're dead. Look, it's part of this dehumanization, demasculinization of our society. Ironically, women are bearing the brunt. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I keep saying it over and over and over again, but it's true. Best audience in the business. So, this is a text message I got just as Dan in New Hampshire was finishing his point, how this is not an accident. What you're seeing at the Olympics is part of a larger, what do you want to call it, social engineering strategy, whatever you want to call it, part of a larger plan. Well, here it is. This is from 781. And so 781 texted me something from the World Economic Forum. Now, please, you got to listen to this. So, the spokesman for the Olympics, he's the guy quoted in many news stories. His name is Mark D. Adams. He is the one that's telling the world that Iman Khalif is, quote, a legitimate female, quote unquote. He's the one, right? No. Now, why is a legitimate female? Because apparently Khalif has female on the passport. And that's all you need for the Olympics. Remember, Khalif tried to get into the World Boxing Championship last year for women's boxing, and was rejected. Did not pass their gender eligibility test. Why? He's got XY chromosomes. He's full of testosterone. You just look at, forgive me, what's between his legs. And they're like, no, you're a biological male. You got the hormones of a male. You got the chromosomes of a male. You're a male. I'm telling you, you see this guy on the street. This guy's 1,000% male. You would never think this person's a female. Well, they lowered the criteria dramatically. So the point being, the very same guy who is the point person for the Olympics saying, oh no, this Algerian guy is a quote unquote legitimate woman, a legitimate female. Do you know what his day job is? Communications director for the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab, George Soros, the whole gang. Bill Gates, the whole gang, the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. That's what his day job is, being their communications guy. So, is this deliberate? You better believe it, it's deliberate. And it's to destroy any distinctions or differences between the biological sexes. So it's a war on men, it's a war on women, it's a war on human nature. But there's also something else going on, and this is what many of you are, I think, grasping and expressing. There's something nefarious, really sick. They're trying now to mainstream men beating up and assaulting women. And almost now turning it into a form of entertainment. We're getting slowly but surely, the Christians to the lions in the Roman, during the Roman Empire, in the Colosseum, where people get their jollies from seeing a man beat a woman into oblivion. Look, had she another minute in that ring, and Angela Carini is dead or paralyzed. She would have suffered permanent brain damage. As she said, I never was hit this hard in my life. I couldn't believe the power of the punches. I think first punch, he broke her nose. So he's just boom, boom, boom. And you just see the poor woman's head snapping back. And then the referee stepped in. He's like, my God. And then the corner looked at her and they said, no, hey, another 15 seconds, she could be dead, or another minute. So, and people are like, they love this. They're cheering it on. And notice the silence from liberals. Not one liberal has called the show today. Not one. Not one Democrat to say, Kuhner, man, I disagree with you on many, many, many things. But no, on this one, whoa. We've gone too far. Nothing. Because they're all in on this rainbow flag LGBTQ plus radical agenda. And if the party, and in this case Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they are for men, biological men, competing in women's sports. If the party says men can beat the hell out of women, as long as they just identify as a woman, then we must follow the party. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree? Donna in Winchester. Thanks for holding, Donna, and welcome.
Jeff, and thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
It is definitely their agenda. That's what these radicals do to women. Now, there's a simple solution to a fair playing field for girls and women. Start trans leagues. These men, they profess they want to have sex changes, but they don't want to have their penis removed. Well, you want a sex change, remove it, and then have your own league. The second note is, my husband came up with a great new fitting name for Harris, where she pretends to change her views, flip-flops so often. Her new nickname should be for Kuhner Country, Chameleon. What do you think about that?
I love it. Chameleon Kamala. I love it. I think there are two nicknames that I've heard, Donna, that I think are superb, that capture her to a T. Either Chameleon Kamala or Commie Kamala. Either one. I think we'll interchange. Well, let's use a little bit, use one a little bit, then use the other one. And I think because those two, I think, really get the essence of who she is. But I love it. Chameleon Kamala. Donna, thank you very, very much for that call. Okay, very quickly, to show you that this is part of a larger orchestrated campaign. And I also want to address something else. I'm getting a lot of emails, a lot of text messages, a lot of people on Messenger. And I don't know how else to say this. It's a panic. It's a panic. Many of you are saying, Jeff, the last couple days, I'm looking at the polls. I'm looking at this thing tightening up between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I'm looking now at these events that Kamala's holding and all these social media influencers, and they're making a big deal about his comment now at the Association of Black Journalists saying she's black. She was always Indian. And, J.D. Vance and his comment about childless cat ladies. And it's like, we're going to lose, Jeff. I don't feel good about this. There's something going on. I think Kamala's going to win. I think the Democrats are going to pull it out. Please trust me when I tell you this. Look, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not saying I can read the future. Please don't panic. Don't panic. Number one, these polls are BS. Trump is way ahead. That's number one. Number two, Kamala Harris is so unpopular. Do you know that these social media influencers that are all coming out, I'm with her and Kamala, and I'm part of Kamalmania, they're being paid. They're being paid to support Kamala Harris. Even the rally she had in Georgia a couple days ago. You know who was in front of her? Megan Thee Stallion, the rapper. You know, the one that the famous song, I can't even say it on the air, the title of her song. She, and I think, by the way, perfect as an introduction for Kamala Harris. Perfect. That's the right singer for her. Oh, that's the right singer. They can share stories, okay? But let that go. She's the headline act. It wasn't Kamala. She came on, she did her, her thing, shaking her rear end, twerking, singing some of her vile songs. And when she was done, Kamala wasn't even on stage. They all rushed to the exits. The rally wasn't for her. The rally was basically a free concert to see Megan Thee Stallion. So what I'm saying is, this is not a grassroots surge. This is AstroTurf. She is deeply, deeply unpopular. And the more we find out what she says and what she believes, the more radical she is exposed as. She is a radical through and through. I've got a clip for you. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Speaking of this war on society, on everything that's American or Western, this all-out attempt to socially re-engineer so many aspects of our life. And why Kamala Harris? It's not just a transgender issue. It's not just biological males competing in female sports. I want you to listen now to this. And this is why she's going to lose. Don't believe the media hype. They're trying to demoralize you. Remember, it's propaganda. It's psychological warfare. That's what they're trying to wage on every single one of us. They're basically saying, are you going to believe us or your eyes? This is Kamala Harris, just a few years ago, telling Americans to no longer celebrate Christmas. How dare you say Merry Christmas? And the reason why she's so upset, she's giving a press conference, is because illegal children are being denied amnesty. So because illegal alien minors are being denied amnesty, listen now to Kamala Harris. Roll cut 11, Mike.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
She hates this country. She hates America. She hates everything about America. She hates our culture. She hates our traditions. She hates our heritage. Now, I don't care. I know there are a lot of crazies on the far left. And you saw that in the Olympics opening ceremony, where they love to parody and make fun of Christians and denigrate and mock them and make fun of the Last Supper and Jesus and turn it into some kind of a drag queen, satanic cult. I understand that. Okay. They're sick. That's how they are. But they're not a majority, far from it. Most people are disgusted by this sort of stuff. And in this country, whether you're religious, not religious, people like Christmas. In fact, they love Christmas. I love Christmas. My children love Christmas. My wife, my whole family, we look forward to it every single year. Now, you're telling us that we shouldn't say Merry Christmas? Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg with this woman. I mean, it's all coming out. Every single bit of it. Now, they can try to lie, and they can try to rebrand her, and they can try to repackage her. It doesn't matter. Her words are her words are her words. And if we just keep unmasking her for the radical that she is, for the dangerous left-wing lunatic that she is, my friends, she's going down. Now, just very quickly, this is Joe Biden. Now, again, notice the propaganda, okay? So, now she's for secure borders. No. Now she supports the police. No. Now she doesn't want to abolish ICE and compare it to the KKK. No. Now she doesn't want to do a mandatory gun a buyback, confiscatory gun buyback. No. Now she doesn't want to literally force people to give up their guns and sell them to the government. No. Now it's a very fracking. No. Now she's until 2 days ago she wanted to ban fracking. Now, no. Now she's all frack away. Just keep fracking now. She wasn't the border czar. Lying about that. She's not a radical. They're lying about that. Listen now to this. Remember DEI hire? How dare you say she's a DEI hire? How dare you? That's racist. Okay. Here's Joe Biden in his own words talking about why he picked Kamala as his VP. Roll cut 18, Mike.
They're trying to erase black history. We're going to write black history because it's American history. It's American history. Together we make history, not erase it. To me, the values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country and starts at the top with the vice president.
So are you going to believe us or your eyes and ears? There's too much tape. There's too much footage. There's too much evidence. It's just too much. It's too much. So trust me when I tell you this. I understand it's a very important election. I hear you. It's the most important election, I believe, maybe in American history. I hear you. Okay, but don't panic. There's no need to panic. We got to be serious. We got to take her seriously. We got to go after her. We got to go after her hard. No question about it. But people are saying, Jeff, I'm depressed. Jeff, I'm demoralized. Jeff, I'm starting to give up. Please don't with her. Please. Hey. And I'm telling you, she doesn't play well in the black community. This sudden thing, I'm black. They're not buying it. Because they know what she's been for the last 20, 25 years and how she marketed and promoted herself. You see, because when in front of the fundraisers, she was an Indian American. But now, when she needs your vote, suddenly she's black. Chameleon Kamala. Commie Kamala. That's what she is. By the way, I kid you not, in Eastern Europe, in the former Soviet Union, they literally banned Christmas. You weren't allowed to say Merry Christmas. So this is an old Marxist communist dream to eradicate Christmas. So when she says, how dare you say Merry Christmas? And don't you say Merry Christmas? Commie Kamala. Those are the words of a Marxist. And I'm going to unveil this even more next week. I promise. Her mother was a Marxist. A stone-cold Marxist. Her father, an economics professor at Stanford, a stone-cold Marxist. She was raised like Obama as a red diaper doper baby. She's a red diaper baby. So believe me, you can run, but you can't hide. And notice, that's why, look, she won't even do a friendly interview. I'm talking to CNN or MSNBC or where they're, softball after softball. She won't even give one single interview. What does that tell you? She's petrified of answering questions because she's that deeply insecure, because she knows who and what she is. Now, there is more stuff coming out about her background. I'm going to confirm it. I don't want to say anything on the air that is in any way, shape, or form false. Okay? I always try to the best of my abilities. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I get bad information. And when I do, I apologize. I'm not going to say anything about her that is not 1,000% accurate. But if these stories are true, and this is what her staffers now, her former staffers are saying, and I don't mean about how badly she mistreated them. That is well known. She treated them like garbage. She berated them. She uses the F-bomb over and over and over because she's completely incompetent. So she can't handle the stress. And she's a lifelong pothead. This woman has done so much marijuana and she loves the bottle. I don't want to say alcoholic. Some of her staffers would characterize her as an alcoholic. Let's put it this way. She's a heavy drinker. So she's been abusing drugs and alcohol for a long time. That's why she has her word salads. Okay, that's years and years of this. She also does the drugs and the alcohol because she's very insecure. Because she's extremely incompetent. So she's always out of her league and out of her depth. I'm talking about sexual activity. And we know about Willie Brown, and we know about politicians, and we know about how she slept her way to the top. I'm talking about something even infinitely worse. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to look into it. But I'm telling you, if this is true, holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. So, please, we've got less than 100 days to go. We're going to have a major debate, if not two debates, between Trump and Kamala. Don't buy the media fiction. Don't buy the media hype. Don't buy the media propaganda. Don't buy it. Kamala Harris is going down. 617-266-6868. Very, very quick. This is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She's a MAGA Republican, a Trump Republican, and she rips Kamala Harris. Now remember, Kamala came out with this tough guy routine. Say it to my face, Donald. Say it to my face. Challenging Trump to a debate. Trump has now taken up that challenge. There will be a debate. We're going to find out exactly where and when and the format and if there are any moderators and who the moderators are. But listen to Luna. Congresswoman Luna is showing how it's done. Just expose Commie Kamala, Chameleon Kamala, or as many of you like this nickname as well, Camel Toe. Expose Camel Toe for who and what she is. Roll cut 17. Mike.
Looks like Team Kamala is super boo-boo lifted. I'm out here campaigning with J.D. Vance, and yesterday they even tried to take our speech at the rally and clip it and spin it, which it won't work. Not to mention, they apparently don't like the backlash that they're getting in our video showing that Kamala Harris will indeed, if you say it to her face, run away from the issues, to include border security and questions on how she was going to deal with the trafficking of Hispanic women and children, which to this day, mind you, she has done nothing to fix. Of course, so she's now getting her sad little influencers that they're paying to try to run interference on that. So the point is that if you indeed say it to her face, she will run away, which is exactly why she won't win the election.
She's completely right. She's completely right. Again, the social media influencers, they're being paid. No one's being paid to, to plug Trump, to promote Trump. Just to show you the difference. There is no enthusiasm for her. That's all make-believe. That's all artificial. It's all manufactured. So there was a video that was released by Anna Paulina Luna, and she's working with J.D. Vance, where when she was the border czar, now she wasn't, but no, when she was the border czar, And they said, well, what are you going to do to secure the border? You haven't done anything to secure the border. She runs away. She's literally running from reporters. Then when pressed, I think it was a conservative journalist that asked her, what about all these poor Hispanics, Latinos, especially Latina women, Latinas, and Latino children that are being trafficked and brought into the United States, many of them as sex slaves? Don't you bear any responsibility for this, having a wide open border? She runs. She runs. So this whole, say it to my face, say it to my face. She runs when you confront her with the truth. And Trump is going to confront her with the truth. And when he does, he's going to destroy her. Just like he destroyed Biden, he's going to destroy Kamala. 617-266-6868. Keith in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Keith, and welcome.
Kuhner, man, I've loved you in the morning. I've loved you in the afternoon. And last week, I even loved you at night in a non-sexual way, my friend.
Keith, what's on your mind, my friend?
You're missing the boat on this one, though, buddy.
Okay. How am I missing the boat, Keith?
That female boxer, what's the deal here? She knew the risks of boxing. Any blow to the head from a woman or a man can kill you. And if she's dumb enough, and her father is dumb enough to let her engage in that sport, I'm sorry, sister. You made your bed, you're going to sleep in it. And I'll want to know how much of the money you're going to share after you get rich on this after the Olympics. Riley Gaines is getting filthy rich. It's all about the money. They do Olympics for money. She paid her money. She took her chances, and she lost. Come on, Kuhner. Put your big boy pants on, buddy. Love you.
Keith, thank you. Thank you very much for that call, Keith. Look, she's taken many punches, just Angela Carini woman, from women. I mean, to me, if you're a female boxer, you fight women. You fight females. You don't fight men. Yeah, right. She should, of course it's boxing. It's a violent sport. But it's one thing to take a punch from a woman. It's a very different thing to take a punch from a man. And that's the point, Keith. Notice you don't have women pretending to be men competing in male sports. It's only one way. It's men, biological men, pretending to be women competing in female sports. Because as you know, men as a group have a massive, significant physical advantage over women. Strength, speed, endurance, muscle mass, the whole thing. And really, and by the way, you look at Carini's career, she's fought a lot of tough female fighters. No one's going to last more than a minute with this guy. Why? Because he's a man. Keith, it's not a question of her being a whiner. This is blatantly unfair and unjust. And Keith, thank you very much for that call, though. I appreciate it. 617-266-6868. By the way, same thing with Riley Gaines. Look, don't take my word for it. Look at the Olympics. Look at the men's swimming, because Riley Gaines is a swimmer. Look at the men's swimming and the women's swimming. The women are incredible athletes. Please don't get me wrong. But look at the top time, look at the time for the men, and look at the time for the women. The men are much faster. They just are. Why? Because they're physically stronger. They've got testosterone, their muscle mass. It's an innate physical, biological advantage that men have. That's what it is. So as Riley Gaines said, I don't know if she's married or has a boyfriend, so don't quote me on that. But whoever her partner is, he was a swimmer. And she said he was an okay swimmer, but he's not a professional swimmer like I was. He goes, we train every day in the pool. He goes, he beats me all the time. And he's nothing. He's not some Olympic, top class swimmer. Her point being, even a woman as good as her can't beat, just a good swimmer like her husband or boyfriend, never mind an elite athlete, because men in swimming are just that much faster. And it shows in the times, whether it's 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, whatever it is. It's not fair. It's not. Now, for most of history, women were not allowed to compete in sports, period. Period. This goes back all the way to the original Olympics 2,000 years ago. It was only men. But then what we did as a society, and I think it's a beautiful thing, I fully support it, we said, no, hey, hold on. No, it's not fair. Many women want to get involved in athletics. So let women compete against fellow women and men against men. Why? Well, because men are stronger, faster, whatever. Their makeup is, they have a massive physical advantage. But let women compete against women. That's why, look at professional tennis. Men's tennis versus women's tennis. Women tennis players will admit the number one female tennis player in the world is lucky if she can beat the 100th ranked male tennis player. 100. It's because men have an advantage. It's just okay. It's not, it's not the end of the world. It's not fair. It's not fair. And it's not just that it's not fair. Someone's going to get killed. And it's happening now in sport after sport after sport, where women now are getting seriously injured because they're up against biological males pretending to be women. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. David in Boston. Thanks for holding, David.
I'm going to talk about the woman competing against men, but since you're back on the topic of who I call Caramel Harris, if I may comment on her, what I'd like to point out, Jeff, now that Caramel is no longer Indian, now that she's African, now that she's established that she's African and not Indian, well, the question immediately arose, Jeff. What does Caramel Harris and Senator Elizabeth Warren have in common? Well, I'm here to tell you, Jeff, what Caramel Harris has in common with Senator Elizabeth Warren. They both clawed their way to power as fake Indians.
Well, David, that's, a lot of people on social media are making a point that I think is a very good one, which is, why is she now so ashamed of her Indian heritage? How, exactly what you're pointing out. I mean, look, to be honest, she is half Indian. I mean, that's just, unlike, Chief Spreading Bull. Chief Spreading Bull is all fake. I have more Indian blood than she does. I'm telling you, I think Ashton has 1%, legit 1% Indian blood. Okay, somebody in his pedigree, in his ancestry, married one of his ancestors, and I think it was a Mohawk. Don't quote me on that, but, Sioux. It was a Sioux Indian. So my son, my white-skinned, hazel-eyed, he can't be in the sun for more than 10 minutes, son, has more Indian blood than Chief Spreading Bull, than Pocahontas. Now, to be fair to Kamala Harris, she is legitimately half Indian, half Jamaican, half Indian. But how come now all of a sudden she's no longer Indian? Is she ashamed of her Indian heritage? Why would you be ashamed of your Indian heritage? 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text the Kuhner Man, 70470. 70470. Okay, my friends, there seems to be a little bit of confusion. I don't know why, but many are calling in or texting, thinking that I'm claiming that Kamala Harris is a Native American Indian. No, she's half Indian, as in Indian from India. So she's a half Indian American, as in, East Indian or South Asian Indian. So not a Native American Indian. So Elizabeth Warren is a complete phony because she claimed to be a Native American Indian, a Cherokee Indian, in fact. And like nothing, not even a speck of Indian blood in her. None. Maya Ashton actually has a little bit of Native American Indian blood. Kamala is legit half Indian American and half Jamaican. Now, the point is, she always presented herself as Indian, from India, as an Indian American. So when she ran and won district attorney, first Indian American district attorney, attorney general, first Indian American attorney general in California, U.S. Senate when she won, AP did a big story. First Indian American to be a senator from California. She, in 2020, when she ran for the presidency or the nomination, the Democrat nomination, big thing. I'm an Indian American. I want to be I am the first Indian American Democrat presidential candidate. CNN did a big segment about how she's so proud of her Indian roots and that she's an Indian American pioneer. In fact, they even had an Indian American do the reporting to show you how in the tank CNN was. Now, she's always identified as black. What are you talking about? She's been black. She's always been black. She's always sold herself as black. No. And if you want to know why, I'll tell you why. Because her parents split up. It's not her fault. I'm just explaining. Her parents split up when she was very young. So she was raised by her mother, who was an immigrant from India. Came here, I believe, at the age of 19. And so her name, Kamala, is Indian. She was raised as an Indian American. Her mother was Indian. I'm just going by what she said. All they did was eat Indian food. And she was immersed in her Indian culture. So, and by the way, on her father's side, the Jamaican side, her family, one of the biggest, her ancestors, if not the biggest, slaveholders and slave traffickers, slave traders in Jamaica. So the black community knows all about this. That's why they're not buying this BS from the media. Now, my point is this. She's now jettisoning her Indian American heritage, at least temporarily, for political expediency. Why would she be ashamed now of her Indian American heritage? You sold yourself, you packaged yourself, you promoted yourself as this trailblazing Indian American. Now you're black? All of a sudden now you're black? Because you want to pander to the black community? Blacks aren't buying it, but now Indian Americans are teed off. And they're right. They're like, whoa. When you needed our money at fundraiser after fundraiser, you were the biggest Indian American in the country. Now, when it suits you, no, I'm black. She's a fraud. She's chameleon Kamala. She's a fraud. She changes positions. She changes she flip-flops. She changes her politics, her identity, only when it suits her. So that's Kamala Harris for you. 617-266-6868. Don't buy the media spin, the lies. She's not popular among blacks, and now she's bleeding support among Indian Americans. Not Native American Indians. Indian Americans whose ancestors are from India. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike in Middleton. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
Yes, Jeff. First comment is to Keith. These women signed up for a competition. It was supposed to be a fair competition. They're not getting that men against women. As for you calling for these women to just step out, I have a problem with that. I think that the country as a whole should pull out of the Olympics. They should go to the advertisers and tell them that if they continue, they'll get the Bud Light treatment. What do you think?
Well, there was one major advertiser and sponsor that did pull out over the opening ceremony. The other sponsors stayed. No, I like the idea a lot. I think there should be a massive economic boycott. I think what you're seeing now is, you know the expression, you go woke, you go broke? If they're going to ram Satanism and drag queen last suppers down our throat, and now biological men beating and assaulting female boxers in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, then you know what? Maybe it's time to get rid of the Olympics altogether. Maybe it's time we say, you know what? We're not going to fund you. We're not going to support you. We're going to have nothing to do with you. Because this is no longer the Olympics. This is Marxism. This is wokeism. This is a political ideology masquerading as sports. Am I wrong? All of your calls next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm going to go right back to your phones. But first, joining us now is the Director of Client Services at Kelly Financial Services, Jim Freeman. Jim, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am well. Thanks so much for having me. Jeff, as you know, our late co-founder, Bill Kelly, was a veteran, and Kelly Financial Services has been a staunch supporter of the annual WRKO Disabled American Veterans Radiothon each November. And of course, we also salute and support all of our servicemen and servicewomen who sacrifice so much to keep us safe. So I was particularly struck when I saw this article this week in Investment News, the headline of which asked, "Are military households more prepared for retirement?" And here's the good news. New research suggests that military households are in a stronger financial position and exhibit more confidence in their retirement prospects compared to their non-military counterparts. More to the point, the research hints that veterans and their partners have done a better job in strategizing and planning for such things as withdrawals, health expenses, and other retirement scenarios. We know that many veterans seem to navigate at least one significant career change in their lives, but that transition requires knowing what to do with their savings, past and future, as they switch careers. Let me just say, Jeff, that if you're a veteran and find yourself in such a situation, contact us. We've been working with veterans and their retirement needs for more than 20 years. We've been serving the good people of Greater Boston. Jeff, we've got a brand new Save Money Strategy show heard every Saturday right here on WRKO at 9 a.m. tomorrow, so I do encourage everyone to tune in.
Jim, as always, thank you so much and have a wonderful weekend. If you want to give them a call, 888-800-1881 or email kelly@kellyfinancial.org. That's kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Okay, and here is the coup de grace, as they say, the final blow. Suddenly, she's black. And she's always been black. And she's always identified as black. Well, me Indian? What are you talking about? Okay. This is Kamala Harris just a few years ago with Mindy Kaling, and they're talking about, you guessed it, Indian cooking. Roll it, Mike.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian, but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people we're related already, so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so, were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food.
And then she goes on about how her mother was Indian and she was raised on eating Indian food, and she was close to other Indian members of her family, and on and on and on. But you see, now they want to memory hole that. Now, like in George Orwell's 1984, now that's verboten to mention all of this. Because now, as Donald Trump rightly said, she's suddenly black. All of a sudden, she's black. 617-266-6868. Chris in Gloucester. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Hey, hello.
Yep, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, hey, do you believe Trump knew she was black when he donated $5,000 for her campaign back in 2011, and then another $1,000 a couple of years later?
No, she was Indian. No, she was Indian.
A pathetically weak narrative, buddy. Secondly,
no. Look, Chris, listen, please. You're the last one to talk about anything. You have insulted my wife repeatedly. You told us that Trump was a Russian spy repeatedly. You went on about Joe Biden being the greatest president since FDR and that he was sharp as a tack. So you have lied to us, buddy, repeatedly. You're a joke. Now, he gave money, and he has said this a million times, when he was in the private sector. And by the way, if you know business people, they tell you the exact same thing. You buy off politicians because otherwise they're on your back. And so you give to both parties. You give to Democrats and you give to Republicans. Because animals like you, fanatics like you, go after people if they don't put a little money in the till. That's how politics is. So in Massachusetts, you have to give to the Democrats and to the Republicans. On a national level, you better give to Democrats and Republicans. Or else you're going to be harassed, persecuted, they're going to come after you. So that's what business people do. So for you to claim like, oh, he gave money to Kamala Harris, as if this is some kind of a smoking gun. Please, we've been down that road a million times. Again, would it kill you to read a newspaper? Now, speaking of newspapers, just Google her name. And Google 2011. Google 2016. How did she promote herself? District Attorney, Indian American. Attorney General, Indian American. AP, November 2016. I'm staring at the headline right now, genius. Kamala Harris, first Indian American senator from California. So, she promoted herself as an Indian American. And now, you liars, you Democrats, because you know that she's the worst vice president we've ever had, on top of the worst president we've ever had, all of a sudden now, to pander to the black vote, suddenly now she's black? Get lost. Get lost. Seriously, get lost. No, you come up with a better narrative, buddy.
Tell so many provable lies. Did he know she was black when he donated to her? That was my question. You dodged it.
I didn't dodge it.
You didn't.
Are you normal?
Why
like,
did
seriously,
he
are
believe
you
she
normal?
was black when he donated
Are you
to her?
normal? When he gave her money, she was an Indian American. Next question.
Well, how come he tells so many provable lies, and why do you repeat them?
Well, okay, fine. Okay, no, hold on, genius. Hold on. And by the way, was Trump a Russian spy? Was he a Russian spy?
His chairman of his campaign was.
No. Oh, his chairman of his campaign was. No, his chairman wasn't. He wasn't a Russian spy. How many times did you call the show and say that? You're a liar.
I never said
You're a liar.
Now you're lying.
Yeah, right. We have it on tape.
I never said that.
Yeah, oh, no, now you never said it? You're a pathetic loser. You're a pathetic loser. What evidence do you have? What evidence do you have that Trump knew she was black or claimed that she was black? She never claimed she was black. So what evidence do you have when he sent her those checks that he thought she was black? Show me the evidence.
Say that he never gave up anything for hostages. He gave up 5,000 Taliban prisoners.
Forget hostages. What are you talking about hostages?
How about the 250 Houthi rebels?
Right. Listen. You just said that you have evidence that when he donated money to her, that he knew she was black. Where's your evidence?
I asked you if you believed he knew she was black. Do you listen? Do you listen?
I answered your... Hey, so you don't have any evidence. She was Indian American. Why? Because she sold herself as Indian American. Do you listen?
Boy,
you're a liar.
That's a winning...
You're a liar. You're a liar. You called this show repeatedly. The audience is texting in like crazy, saying, are you on drugs? How many times you said Trump was an agent of Russia? How many times you said there was collusion between him and Putin? And now you're trying to pretend you never said it? Just like you guys now are trying to pretend that she's black? Now you're trying to pretend that she's not Indian? Just like you guys are claiming now that she supports fracking when she opposed it? That she supports border security when she opposed it? When she now supports the police when she called for defund the police? Like, hey, to us, 1984 is a warning. To crackpots like you, it's a blueprint. Chris, let me tell you something else. And I'm going to tell this to you man to man. You want to come after me? That's fine. You come after my wife? You're a loser. You're just like that guy in the ring. You're a thug and a bully. And you get off on beating up on women or trashing women. So next time, my friend, don't come after my wife. Come after me. You understand? Because thugs like you, I'm not impressed with. Get lost. 617-266-6868 is the number. This is the SOB that was calling for Grace to be assaulted, making fun of my wife, ridiculing my wife. These are the kind of liberals that love to see biological men beat the hell out of women in a boxing ring, or beat the hell out of women in MMA, or see biological men spike a volleyball and smash the face of female athletes and give them brain damage and permanent paralysis. And so he's got the guts with his record, with everything that he has said over the last 6, 7, 8 years. And now he's going on about, you buddy, you're making things up. The only one that lies is you. And that's what you Democrats and liberals do. You lie and lie and lie. And your biggest lie was that Joe Biden never suffered from dementia. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so all of you need to hear this. In 2019, Kamala Harris was on The Breakfast Club. So she was then a senator, about to run for the Democratic presidential primary. A year later, she'd obviously be picked by Joe Biden to be his running mate. And she was going on about how much weed she smoked. And so one of the hosts says, well, it's kind of bizarre because here you are, I don't know, you've smoked all this weed, and in college in particular, but apparently you're against the legalization of marijuana. And she says, quote, that's not true. In other words, she's for the legalization of marijuana. That's not true. Look, I joke about it. I have joked about it. Half my family is from Jamaica. Are you kidding me? And of course, then she does her cackling laugh. So what she's saying is, hey, we Jamaicans or whatever, those of us of Jamaican heritage, hey, all we do is get stoned. We love to, hey, yeah, man. Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, yeah, man. Let's play some reggae, man. Let's play some reggae. Yeah, man. It's a vicious smear and caricature of Jamaicans as a bunch of, pothead, freewheeling, basically losers like Kamala Harris. Now, her father, who was a professor of economics, he was a Marxist at the University of California, Berkeley, disapproved. In fact, not only did he disapprove, he issued a formal statement. He issued a statement against his own daughter. And here is what he wrote, quote, and by the way, the media is going to memory hold this one as well. We can't let them. But this is what her own father said about her. Quote, my dear departed grandmothers, as well as my deceased parents, must be turning in their grave right now to see their family's name, reputation, and proud Jamaican identity being connected in any way, jokingly or not, with the fraudulent stereotype of a pot-smoking joy seeker, and all of this in the pursuit of identity politics. His own father said, I'm ashamed of my daughter. She's an embarrassment. That's coming from her old man, from her own father. Now, if that's what her own father, her own flesh and blood says about her, who do you think she really is? 617-266-6868 is the number. That's what the left doesn't want you to know about her. Sue in Boston. Thanks for holding, Sue, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm at New Hampshire. Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Sue.
So this Olympics, I just wanted to prove that it is satanic. It's the 33rd Summer Olympics. 33, love to mock number 33. I mean, that's the year that the age that Jesus died. So that's why this whole thing is a mockery. Everything to them, 33. They're big into numbers. Like if you do a search for 322, you'll come up with Skull and Bones. And if you do IlluminatiBackwards.com, it's National Security, NSA.gov. They love to play with things like that. And that's why they're doing this. However, there was a blackout the night that they had the opening ceremonies in Paris. And the only thing that was lit up was a church. So you want to talk about God coming back at them. It was a Christian church, obviously, and it was lit up. You can look it up. So, sometimes I think God does step in and say, hey, you know something, I don't like that very much, and I'm in charge. But when it comes to Kamala, she actually, she is very much backing the transgender, because a friend of mine is a very big activist. She turned her daughter to a son. I don't know whether she sent me pictures of her with
Sue, you're kind of breaking up on us. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a bad phone connection. You're saying that she supports this. Here it is. This is Kamala Harris, her official vice presidential account, March 3rd, 2022. So she's now vice president, not even 2 years ago. Here's what she said, quote, let's send the Equality Act to President Biden's desk. We must increase protections for LGBTQ plus Americans across the country. The onslaught of state bills targeting transgender Americans and their families is wrong. And those state bills, we're saying what we're talking about. Don't have biological males compete in female sports. And she's saying, no way. We've got to stop all these state bills. We have to force these women to have to compete against these men. So we've got her ex or whatever, tweet, whatever it was at the time. We've got her. I mean, dead to rights. Now, furthermore, I'm telling you, you can't make this up. You literally cannot make this up. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, is now accusing that female Italian boxer, that poor woman that got beaten up, that almost got her face completely smashed in. They're accusing her, Scarini, of discrimination. She said, how dare you? They're saying, how dare you forfeit the fight against that guy that we forced you into the ring with? So they're saying they're going after her for her alleged transphobia and discrimination. And now they're saying that anyone who criticizes what the IOC has done or criticizes this Algerian boxer, this male boxer, for, beating the pulp out of her, quote, you are committing aggression against him. So he's the victim. He breaks her nose. He smashes her face. He gives her a concussion. He almost kills her. He's the biological man beating up a woman. And she's the aggressor? For calling him out? She's the one engaging in discrimination? We're the ones who are engaging in aggression against this guy for criticizing. Apparently, according to them, it's been nothing but one long hate crime the last 4 hours of this show. Because, oh, how dare you criticize him? No, if he wants to beat the stuffing out of that female boxer, that's his right. These Olympics are a joke. Call it Satanism, call it woke liberalism, call it Marxism, call it whatever you want to call it. Boycott the Olympics. It's time to teach them a lesson. Bye-bye.